Hello and welcome to the video, and in this video we're going to go over the back armour casing upgrades for the next prototype for the powered armoured exoskeleton project. We're also going to go over the backpack power pack design and what I intend to do on power sources with batteries and where to put the electronics. First we'll go over the old prototype, take a look at the kind of back piece and where the side armour is and everything, as well as the basic backpack that's on it, and then we'll just go straight into CAD, get the new back pieces ready to print them out, and then also go over the new backpack designs, albeit I'll be making those in the future. To start with, on the old prototype, I'll give you a quick description on the backpack and why it is like it is on that prototype. Really, it was just one of many experiments to work out what size battery pack backpack I could have, which what I narrowed it down to is basically it needs to be 6 inches wide or smaller, because if it's any bigger I can't fit through a doorway sideways. I also want to be raised up a little bit at the back to protect the neck, although it can't be too high or it does start to clash if you're, say, climbing into things, like I did try to get into a vehicle and onto a fork truck. There is also a limit as to how wide it can be, especially if you're wanting to move through a doorway on a bladed stance, you don't want it sticking out. And I think the last thing worth noting about that backpack is it is made out of carbon fibre, while it is primed and painted over the top of it. The next one will have a great degree of carbon fibre in it, but how much armour will be included, I'm not sure, and I probably won't know until I've got it done.
As for the piece that we'll be replacing today, it's the back section you can see here. This is made out of a carbon fibre composite, but unfortunately due to the amount of times that I've modified it, it is now rough as hell. I'll now be making a 3D printed version to basically cast the armour into and parts of the carbon fibre. But parts of the design will change, including the overall shape. So you can see in this shape, I made it kind of this diamond shape with the idea that it reflects the actual muscle groups of the human body. For example, you've got the shoulder blades here, and then you've also got the taper at the waist. However, this isn't really needed, so I'd rather just have it big and square because it makes for better attachment points for the power pack backpack. Of which in this you can see there is many holes and many bolts which held the backpack on with. However, I've now got some good ideas for a quick release mechanism, as well as some better attachment points for the electronics side of this. Lastly, I will be extending this back piece down a little bit. This is a little bit shorter than it need to do, but I also put some hinged pieces of armour, particularly on the sides. They worked actually really well, but they were a bit too floppy, so I kind of want to get rid of them as much as possible. And I'll also add some attachment points for soft armour as well. With that being said, we'll go into Fusion 360 and look at the upgraded design, as well as look at some potential options for new backpack power pack upgrades.
Here we have the new back piece that I've put into CAD. You can see how it links up with the chest plate there that we did in previous videos. If we zoom into the side here, you can see how I've extended the plate down in line with the chest plate. I've also made these ridge lines here so that the Velcro straps can be attached properly and in line with the chest plate that goes around the sides. I've also added these little bolt holes for nut inserts, so there is an attachment point for any soft armour that needs to hang down to cover any gaps down to here. It's also worth noting that, like on the other prototype, the exoskeleton goes on the inside of this plate, hence why this gap is pretty big. Now if we just rotate on over to the back straight on, you can see how I've just squared it off instead of having it that diamond shape. This is of course split into 4 pieces, so I can actually 3D print it. As for the attachment points, basically the backpack power pack is most likely in the future to be split into 2 pieces. The top piece holding all of the electronics, so this will just be bolted on using these bolt holes here. And then the bottom half will hold the batteries and have a mechanism to essentially eject the batteries from the suit in case of a fire. Of which we'll now go over to the CAD file of the full armour suit to see how it all fits together. And here we have the upgraded suit with all of the parts that I've made being updated. So we'll just rotate around to the sides. You can see how it fits in and how there's a gap for the exoskeleton behind the arms. And on the back here you can see one of the potential backpack designs, this being a smaller, thinner one. So you can see how it covers the back of the neck here. It can't be much wider than this one because it'll make it more difficult to navigate through things like doorways, but also you do kind of need this movement to allow your arms to come back a little bit. So if the backpack's too wide, that'll clash and cause problems. If we rotate on over to the side, you can see how the backpack's pretty narrow. It's only 100mm wide, which will make it much better for going around urban terrain. However, one thing I actually can't fully get right until I've built the suit is to know exactly where this helmet actually sits when it's on your head in line with the actual suit. It's always going to be quite tight because you want to reduce gaps in, say, the neck and at the back and everything like this. But working out exactly where the helmet is when, say, you look back is quite difficult, because you can easily tilt your head back and put your head back an inch or two, in which case it might clash with a backpack here if it's just this straight. But equally, it could end up sitting a little bit further forward. Again, this is just a personal thing that I realised was a potential problem when I made the previous prototype, and it's just something that I'm going to have to try when I've got it all built up. Hence why the backpack is probably going to be one of the last things I actually make. That being said, if we rotate around the back again, so on the back these are access panels which can be armoured. How much armour yet, I'm yet to decide. But if we take the top one off, for example, you see in here how there will be plenty of room for electronics to be mounted here. You can also see where the attachment points are to actually mount this to the back. Another reason why this backpack needs to be one of the last things I actually make is just because of how quickly technology moves on, how quickly things like GPUs and microcontrollers and everything else move on, how smaller they're getting, how more advanced they're getting. For example, if you follow anything that Nvidia's been doing, you can see the amount of progress they've made with making things more powerful and smaller and use less energy. So it could well mean that even just in 6 months that I want to fit different types of electronics. Not necessarily from the actuator point of view, but more from, say, the object recognition for the helmet. The potential of having any sort of Jarvis style AI built into the suit is only going to grow and only become more commercially available. And this will be the location where all of it's housed. So yeah, hence why this needs to be the last thing that I really make. Moving to the bottom half of the backpack, you can see here I've got these silver boxes to basically signify batteries, so you can fit quite a lot of batteries in there. This again to me is where the modularity of all of this system comes in. At the end of the day, technology is going to move on. You're going to be able to get new batteries, different size batteries. There might just be some new lithium LFP batteries that come up that are commercially available, that are the right size for the job, that may mean I want to alter things to get the most out of it as possible. Crucially, I think with this is I want this battery compartment separate to the main electronics compartment and easily removable, not just from the fire aspect, but just from the ability to change it out, to have modularity, to be able to change battery packs out easily, to be able to change the entire system out, to be able to go with a bigger or smaller battery pack depending on what you're doing. So if we just remove the batteries, you'll have to forgive my very badly modelled ballistic cloak at the back here, as it does kind of intersect a little bit at the minute with the backpack, but never mind. So if I zoom in here, you can see how you've got these prongs that basically sit out into the backpack as locating lugs that attach to the back. Now if we go around to the front with the chest plate removed, you can see this bar that runs through the middle. On the inside of the backpack you have these U-shaped lugs, here, here and here. The idea of this is you have this bar here that runs through the middle of it, which will then have a cord attached to the end. This cord will then velcro around to the side and allow you to basically grab it with your left hand, extend outwards and then pull the bar out. So the bar will then exit the suit that way. That is the locking mechanism that holds the batteries basically to the suit. It'll still be lightly held on by those prongs, but you'll basically just be able to shake the backpack off, which will have an inline plug system for the batteries, allowing the backpack to basically just fall off the back onto the floor where it can't set the user on fire. Another option for the backpack is a bigger version. The top part is 150mm deep, so it does allow for more room for the electronics. And then the bottom half, the battery pack, is 200mm deep. So you could have way more battery supply in there, which could be changed out depending on range requirements and endurance requirements, at of course the cost of a bit of mobility, at least in tight environments. Another thing that I always discarded was the idea of basically having a little generator engine on the suit. But actually I'm starting to go back on this a little bit. You can get a lot of small little engine generators. So if you're in an environment that doesn't perhaps have access to vehicles in particular, and potential fumes aren't so much of an issue, I do actually think it could be an option as a range extender at the bare minimum, which in this regard could be bolted onto the bottom of a larger battery pack like this. This won't particularly harm any form of mobility, because you can see in comparison to the legs, it won't actually clash with your hamstrings as you're moving around. If anything, it'll just provide more coverage. However, of course, this will make the suit overall just bigger and a lot more bulky to move around with. With that being said, we'll now get the back part printed out and take a look at it in real life. I won't be making any of the other parts because it'll probably just change in the future, and this is probably going to be a pick to print as it is. And there we have it, 3D printed and married up with the chest. I'm not going to lie to you, the 3D printing went absolutely horrific, took multiple attempts, many failures. To be honest, my 3D printer is just getting a bit old now, and I need to get another one. But you can see at least from the gap on the side, there's plenty of room for the exoskeleton to fit down the back, and as well for extra armour to be put into the front of the chest. You can see how the strapping will line up around the sides, and if we go to the back and see how it's really rough, you can see all the positioning points for all of the attachments. Obviously I'll be reprinting all of this, but I actually don't know whether this part will be actually incorporated into the design or whether it'll just be raw carbon fibre. So there's no need for armour up here, as you can imagine, so this will be carbon fibre down there, and then ceramic and Kevlar armour in the sides, which will match the rest of the armour. One potential challenge I might have is actually finding some hinges that go along here. For anyone who doesn't know, the chest plate basically lifts up like that, over the top to about there, which allows you to get in and then put the chest plate over the top and down to lock in at the sides. Apart from the atrocious 3D printing quality, it has come out kind of as expected. It's much easier to mount the backpack to, much more uniform and easy to work with, and does marry up pretty well to the chest, as you'd expect. So there's about one more video to do on the armour casing upgrades, with some modifications to the helmet, some covers for the actuators and the elbows and the knees, as well as some modifications to the soft armour cloak and the hood. Then it'll be time to move on to the exoskeleton upgrades, of which I'm going to cut out a fiberglass sheet just to keep it cheap, to make sure I've got everything right before I do the full carbon fibre version. Of which I am aiming to do in around May, because I think I'll be able to save up the money by then for both the carbon fibre, the Kevlar, the ceramic, and get the actuators about right by that point. Also, I think I'm going to have to get a new 3D printer, so this is a question for the 3D print gang. What do you all recommend? I was looking at Bamboo Labs, but the problem is I really need a 3D printer with at least a 300 by 300 bed. 250 by 250 just wouldn't be enough for this project. Many times I've just kind of run over that. So I'm currently thinking about the Creality K1 Max. I'm not particularly interested in multiple colours, more that bed size and actual reliability. So any thoughts on that, please feel free to comment down below. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. I hope to see you on the next video, and have a great day and a great week.